whatever chemical is activated in your brain when you see something sad and traumatic and it makes you feel like you want to act, I assume you have enough of that. So I'm going to play a video for you. It's about the most recent mass shooting. Yet again, a bunch of Americans are dead. They didn't need to be. And I specify Americans because this doesn't really happen like this in other countries. Once again, in this country, which is so sure it's right about everything all the time, a bunch of us got killed. You do need the context, so here is the context. Guy's still on the run.
We have more breaking news regarding the mental health history of the man suspected of killing 18 people in Maine. I want to bring in Ken Delaney, NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent. Ken, what have you just learned?
Chris, it's become increasingly clear that there were major concerns about this suspect, Robert Card's mental health over the summer and as recently as a few weeks ago, both from his military commanders and members of his family. I've got two pieces of information to share with you. Two senior law enforcement officials tell me that Card's Army Reserve commanders referred him to inpatient psychiatric treatment over the summer after they became concerned about his comments that he had been hearing voices and about threats that he had made to the base. And we're told that he spent about 2 weeks inside a psychiatric facility, was treated there, was released. It's unclear what happened after that. But his sister-in-law has just given an interview to one of my colleagues on NBC News Digital in which she said that the family was raising concerns with the Army Reserve about what they viewed as Card's increasingly concerning mental status. She said, we reached out to make sure everyone was on the same page because he is someone who does gun training. We were concerned about his mental state. She said her husband went back and forth with the Army, but it's unclear what actions were taken. She said they were following up on it, but he's never been someone we thought would actually do anything. So significant concerns, and Maine does have what's known as a yellow flag law that allows the police to go to a judge and ask that a subject's guns be taken away if a mental health professional or medical professional deems that that person was a threat. Obviously, that didn't happen in this case, and we learned that the gun used in this shooting was what's known as a .308 sniper rifle, a very, very lethal military-style weapon, Chris.
Ken Delaney, and thank you for that important information.
You know what? Wait a minute. Let's just enjoy this end screen for a second. This genuinely is who we are. Well put, MSNBC. This is who we are. A nation of people that let their fellows get murdered because we are unwilling to change anything. We are unwilling to inconvenience ourselves. We've decided that whatever could happen, if we got rid of the items that are killing us, whatever could happen might be worse than what is happening. We think it might be worse than 18 Americans getting gunned down, a 10-year-old saying, I never expected to be shot. We think it might be worse than Uvalde, where a bunch of cowardly cops were sitting outside a classroom listening to kids be slowly killed after they were quickly and violently killed. We had children bleeding out, crying themselves to death. That's what we had happen. And as a country, we decided that we will allow demagogues to convince us that it might be worse. Man, if there was a time to gamble, if there was something to gamble over, if there was a time to be an optimist, for God's sake, it would be on this issue. But okay, we have to work with the kinds of people who would, in order to keep up their weekend hobby of shooting a paper target at a gun range and pretending in their heads, pretending they're Rambo. In order to keep that hobby up, they would allow kids and pedestrians and people at a bowling alley to get mowed down constantly. I don't know what mass shooting number this is this year. More than one. What is it, 30? Gun violence, number one cause of death for children in the United States. Okay, well, here's what you can do, since we have to work with those kind of people. First of all, remember, we are working with those kind of people. They are worthy of our contempt. Second of all, so don't worry about their feelings. Worry about only making them, because you know they will fight you, no matter what you try to do to help. The kind of people that support having automatic weapons still in the United States, they will fight you, no matter what. If you try to do anything of value, anything of use, anything that would make the world better, they will be there to oppose you. So, I would recommend predicting that and setting them up to be in an awkward position when they try to oppose you. Here's the rule. I suggest that you ask your representatives to put in place. Set up a 10-mile circle around every school. So a 5-mile radius, a circle around every school. And ask them to make that a gun-free zone. Call it a shooter-free zone. That's a shooter-free zone. There's precedent for this. Turns out, sexual predators cannot live within a mile of a school. We're okay with that. I think that's a fantastic idea. If you see somebody walking towards a school carrying an assault rifle, you would probably call the cops. If you're watching this show, you're plugged in to what is happening around the world, you would probably call the cops. Not everybody would. Because truly, there might be nothing the cops can do. It might be perfectly legal for the kid in the leather trench coat with the book bag full of ammunition to march towards a school with a loaded assault rifle. Cops might have to let him go. Not if they're violating the law. Not if they're open carrying in an area which specifically says you cannot do that. Tell your representatives you want a 5-mile shooter-free zone around every school. Would that have saved the people in this bowling alley? No. What would have saved the people in that bowling alley, and the second location the shooter went to, by the way, they're still out among us. What would have saved them and the next people this maniac kills would be if the sort of people that will fight you on the shooter-free zone around schools had not been in office to vote down whatever restrictions would have been put in place. What would have saved those people is if that person, if that coalition of filth that is the Republican Party, was not in power. So let's make that happen while also attempting to make the world just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Write your representatives. Ask them to put such a law into effect. At the state level, done. If you can get them to do it at the federal level, great. The goal is hopefully, to get the law actually passed. But if you don't, you will still have nightmare human beings getting up in front of a microphone and exposing themselves to the world for the monsters that they are in an election year. I think it's good to remind people of whose fault this is. It is the fault of Republicans.